I don't think I've ever taken a picture like this. I am so pleased with how this picture turned out. And I don't know that I could have planned this even if I wanted to. We've noticed over the years that when it's raining in the summertime, we get these little toads crawling up our door. And that's exactly what happened here. It was kind of raining. It was at night. It must have been about 10 o'clock at night. My wife and I were on our way to bed. We just finished watching an episode of The Office or Star Trek or something on Netflix. And she looks out the back door and sees a silhouette of a frog or a toad. And she says, "Oh, check it out. There's another toad crawling up the glass door." And I said, "All right, you go on and get ready for bed. I'm going to go see if I can take a picture of this thing." And I grabbed my D750 and my set of filters, my close-up filters, because one day before this, my brother Phil had showed me a few pictures he had taken in his backyard of some cicada shells with his Nikon 35 millimeter and a set of filters. And he used a plus 10 filter on his. And I thought, as I'm going back around to see if I can take a picture of this toad, I thought, well, I don't know if I'll need the filters. I'll bring them just in case. And I had no intention of using the plus 10 filter. So I get to the back porch and I took some pictures of this frog. And they just weren't very good. You could kind of see a frog. I mean, it was not interesting at all. So I screwed on the plus 4 filter, got a little closer. Thankfully, he didn't move. And it still wasn't that interesting. So then I put on the plus 10 filter, and that made a huge difference. Incidentally, it looks like this frog is sitting on a horizontal piece of glass. It's actually not. It's vertical. It's stuck to the glass door. So it's actually looking straight up, but it looks like it's horizontal because of the way I held my camera looking straight down to photograph him. I didn't realize that lighting would be such a challenge, though. You'll notice he's lit from the right-hand side, and that's because even though he's looking up at the porch light straight above, it wasn't enough light to actually take a good picture. So I had my flashlight with me, and it's a yellow DeWalt flashlight with a 20-volt battery, and you can kind of angle the head however you want. So I set it on the barbecue about 10 feet away and aimed it straight at the frog from the side. And that gave me the lighting that I needed. So then it was a matter of focusing and getting the depth of field right, as well as some other parameters too. So as usual, I was using auto ISO, and I wanted to get a sharp, clear picture. I tried a couple different apertures. I think I tried like a lot of f4, some at 5.6, and I really wanted some background blur here. I wanted the eyes to be tack sharp, but I didn't realize until I was looking through the pictures later that shooting at f4 was just way, way too thin, as it always is when shooting with the plus 10 filter. I shot this at f8, and I changed the ISO manually, which I usually don't do, because I wanted not only a smooth picture free of grain and noise, but I also wanted the ability to capture data to adjust later in Lightroom from the raw file. The other pictures that I was taking ended up at like ISO 6400 and 3200, and that just I didn't like the image quality that I was getting. So I shot in manual. I even focused manually, and I focused, and then using live view on the camera, zoomed into 100% or 200%, whatever it is that lets you see a really zoomed in view of what you're seeing. And I actually moved my camera up and down on the glass of the door rather than focusing, because it just felt a little more accurate that way. So I would move my camera up and down an inch or two, and then take a picture, check the picture, take another one. And I ended up with this one at f8, a 90th of a second, ISO 800. And I was so thrilled when I saw this in Lightroom. Everything worked out on this picture. I did have to adjust the colors a little bit. The white balance was off a little bit because it was all weird artificial lighting. But man, his eyes are so sharp, and that's what I was going for. I could have even shot this at f11, I think, but that probably would have meant higher ISO and or a slower shutter speed. Neither one of those are a trade-off I wanted to make. F8, I still had to it was still like a stop or two stops underexposed, which I had to fix in Lightroom. So even though you have a little bit of blur on his nose, I don't really mind too much because the eyes are nice and sharp, and I really like that reflection in the glass. You can see it's a double pane of glass because there's kind of a double reflection. But this was such a fun picture to take and to experiment with, just right before bed on a Saturday night. It was really fun to get to do this.